Good morning, YouTube. The moment you've all been waiting for. No, I'm just kidding. I can't help it. I'm ridiculous, and sometimes I think I'm funny. But today, I'm going to talk to y'all about King Solomon's business model. I have been implementing this business model now for almost a couple of decades, and it's mind-blowing how well it works. Like literally, the business that I built, my team and I have built, I started building it myself back in 2003, and so that business is based on King Solomon's business model. And what's amazing is it's in the Bible. It's like in there, like it's laid out step by step, and it tells you how profitable it was. And so I'm going to share some more scriptures with y'all today. Last week, or not last week, but Wednesday, we talked about King Solomon's business model, King Solomon's social media, the best social media strategy in the history of the world. If you haven't seen that video, definitely want to go back and watch it. The week before that, we talked about how Solomon made me rich, and then we only got into we got down to the prayer of Solomon, right? Because everything takes me longer than I think it's going to take me when I get started on it. Today, though, we are going to get to the business model. And this business model has made us as much as millions of dollars a month. And I'm not saying that you're so wonderful, you make millions of dollars. It has nothing to do with it. What I'm saying is it works. And your goal may not be millions of dollars a month. And the reality is my goal wasn't millions of dollars a month. In fact, I didn't even really have a goal. My goal was to execute. My goal was to execute the inputs and let the outputs take care of themselves, right? And I think a lot of times people get so focused on the output and trying to produce an output that they lose sight of the inputs that can produce that output for them, right? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So we're going to read some verses that we read on Wednesday in Bible study in 1 Kings chapter number 10. 1 Kings chapter number 10. And it says in verse 1, and we've read this already, but I'm going to read it again. And when the queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him with hard questions. So, a couple of things that tells us. One, when she heard of the fame of Solomon, Solomon was not making himself famous for himself. She heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord. Here's the reality, y'all. The scripture tells us in the book of Romans, it says, all right, maybe it's, if we eat unto the Lord. If we drink unto the Lord. Whether therefore we eat or drink, we are the Lord's. So I'm here for him, right? And if I'm seeking to please God and looking to serve people, it's hard to go wrong on that path, right? And so he was seeking to make God's name great. He was not seeking to make his own name great. And a lot of people want to make their name great. And I'm not saying there's necessarily anything wrong with that, but if you make your name great and your character's not great to match, all you're doing is setting yourself up that when you're exposed, you're going to be exposed to that many more people, right? So, make sure you keep it real, right? Don't fake it. Don't fake it until you make it. Project it until you perfect it, okay? So, and then it says she came to prove him with hard questions. Why? Because if you're doing something remarkable, it's going to be hard for people to believe that you're actually doing what other people are telling them you're doing, right? Now, if you're not doing something remarkable, somebody said, oh, did you hear what so-and-so did? And it's not remarkable? Oh, okay, well, that's not that big of a deal, right? But if you're doing something that almost nobody's doing, like when people hear about it, the first thought is, nuh-uh, right? And so she came to prove him, to see if he was as wise as she had heard in her own country, right? And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels, that bear spices, and very much gold and precious stones. And when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart. And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king which he told her not. And the queen of Sheba had seen all of Solomon's wisdom. Remember, we said she saw his wisdom because wisdom is skill, right? And so wisdom wasn't just something you heard. It was something you saw. You saw the effects of it, right? All of Solomon's wisdom and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel. Isn't it interesting? She saw the apparel of his ministers was impressive, right? He was just, everything about Solomon screamed excellence, right? Nothing screamed average. Nothing screamed mediocre. Nothing screamed blasé. right? Everything screamed excellence. And so even when you look at the apparel of his ministers, she was blown away. In their apparel and his cupbearers and the ascent by which he went up into the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. What does that mean? That means like everything about how Solomon did what Solomon did just took her breath away, right? And then it says, and she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in mine own land of my own acts of thy wisdom. And I said this Wednesday, I'm going to say it again. I believe that one of the biggest problems entrepreneurs have is you're looking for people to sell stuff to. Stop looking for people to sell stuff to. Start helping people, or as Frank Kern says, proving to people that you can help them by actually helping them, right? And then help so many people, and then make yourself findable so other people who want that help can find you and pay you. Like, I don't ever look for somebody to sell anything to. I don't have an elevator speech. So interesting. I was at Funnel Hacking Live, which is a big conference that Russell Brunson puts on every year. And back in 2016, it was in San Diego, California, and Marcus Lemonis was speaking. And so if you knew me, you would know that it's so rare for me to ever be at a loss for words. Almost never. It just almost doesn't happen. A loss for words? I'm at a loss of a lot of things, but words ain't one of them, you know? And so I'm sitting there, and when I'm processing, like if I'm listening to something, I'm listening to it in layers, you know what I mean? I'm hearing what they're saying, and then I'm compartmentalizing it, putting it somewhere I can go back and retrieve it, but I'm also seeing what other things can go in that box to make that thing amplified and magnified and multiplied. And then I'm doing all this. Marcus Lemonis, the guy who has the show The Prophet on CNBC, or had it, I don't know if it's still on or not, he was speaking. And so he points at me while I'm like in this deep trench of thought. And he points at me and he says, sir, I want to ask you a question. Sure, ask me a question. What's your elevator pitch? And I was like, and he kept asking me questions. And I was like, I was stumbling all over my words. Like, and then I got home and I'm like, why was I struggling so hard to come up with such an answer to such a simple question? What's my elevator pitch? I mean, I know what I do, but when he asked me that question, my brain was like 3 levels deep on the stuff he was already talking about. And like, I had to come up and he's like, and I'm like, And so for you, that may not bother you. It didn't bother me. I don't get embarrassed, right? I was not embarrassed at all that I couldn't come up with a coherent answer, right? That made sense to me or anybody else around me. I wasn't embarrassed by it, but I was just confused. And so I came home and I'm thinking to myself, for weeks, why was that such a hard question? It seemed like such a simple, and I wasn't beating myself up, but I'm like, why was this hard for me? And then one day it occurred to me, well, the reason it's hard for you is because you don't have an elevator pitch. Duh. When was the last time you met somebody on an elevator and tried to pitch your business? Never, right? And so I didn't have an elevator pitch, and I thought the only thing I really do if I see somebody on an elevator is I try to make them smile. That's it. How you doing? If they've got kids with them and the kids are on a baseball team, I say, hey, how are y'all doing? Y'all got a game today? Yeah, we got a game today. Make sure y'all come back with a V now. Don't come back with a W. Don't come back with an L now. You know, I'll just say something to help them enjoy their day and let them know somebody sees them, right? And so there's no universe in which I can imagine me meeting someone, even if it's somebody that I wanted to meet and that I thought I had an opportunity for or could make an opportunity with. There's no universe in which I would meet somebody on an elevator and try to talk business with them. It just would not happen. Because in my brain, in the way I operate, it doesn't make any sense, right? It's like the farmer not sowing any seed, just going out to the field and saying, well, where are the crops? Come on, dirt, where are the crops now? Kick something up. It doesn't make any sense to me. And so I would never do that. And so anyway, all of that to say that it's not about you, right? It's not about me. And she heard about him in her own land. He didn't go looking for her. He wasn't cold calling her. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with cold calling. I'm just saying if you really help people, if you really impact the world, it becomes less necessary. Okay, so y'all track it. Okay, so, and then it says, it was a true report that I heard in my own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom. Howbeit I believe not the words until I came, and my eyes have seen it. Behold, the half was not told me. Thy wisdom and prosperity exceeded the fame which I heard. So let me ask you something. When people meet you, is their impression of you after they meet you greater than it was before they met you, or worse than it was before they met you? Like, is the reality of you a better version of you than the reported version of you, or is it worse? Is that a good question? Like, we don't want people to be, oh yeah, I can hardly wait to meet this person, and then you meet them, it's like, well, that was a downer, right? That was anticlimactic, right? So thy wisdom and prosperity exceeded the fame which I heard. Then she said, happy are these thy servant. I want you to notice what's going on around Solomon, right? His life being better is not just about making his life better and making everybody else's life worse, which is what a lot of, quote, modern day celebrities do, right? Oh, why are you talking to me? Leave me alone. Why are you bothering me? I don't have time for you, right? That kind of thing. And I get it. Like, I get to some extent not being able to take pictures with people all the time. And I get that because you're doing stuff, right? I've been in environments like, if you're in an environment where you're speaking in front of 30,000 people or 3,000 people for that matter, and then all of a sudden, like, people see you in the hallway and everybody wants to take a picture with you while you're trying to go to the bathroom, like literally. Like, if all you did was took pictures, you wouldn't get anything else done. So I get that, but you don't have to be better than, right? I was at Funnel Hacking Live, which I'm speaking there this year, and I speak there. I don't know that I speak there every year, but I've spoken there every year for the last 5 years. Anyway, so I was there last year, and I was with somebody from my team, and somebody's like, "Can I take a picture?" I was like, "I really can't take a picture with you because if I take a picture with you, then like I'm gonna get stopped and I won't be able to go. And like for you it's 2 minutes, but for me it's 2 hours. And I'd love to take a picture with you at some point, but I can't do it here, right?" And then I left, and then the person on my team said, "You know, you don't have to give them an explanation. You can just say, I'm not doing pictures right now." And I'm not exaggerating. That thought never occurred to me. Right? It just didn't, right? And she's right. I don't owe them an explanation, but I felt better giving them one, right? So anyway, because I don't want people to feel like I think I'm better than they are, because I know I'm not any better than they are. Now, they ain't better than me either, so let's don't get it twisted. But I'm not better than they are, right? It's just like we're all people. We're made in the image of God. It is what it is. Okay, so. But she said, happy are thy men, happy are these thy servants, which stand continually before thee and hear thy wisdom. So are the words that, it's interesting that in the New Testament it says, let your words be with grace, seasoned with salt, right? So what is grace? The word grace in Greek, the Greek word for grace is charis, from which we get charismatic, right? Charis, charis. That means grace. Well, what is grace? It's a gift. It's a gift. So let your speech be with grace, or let it be like a gift. Let it be seasoned with salt. Let it have flavor. Let it be palatable. Let it be delightful. The scripture says that we should speak the truth in love, right? So here's the question. The words that you speak, are they like a gift that you give or a weapon that you wield? Is that a good question? I think it's a great question. And I think when it comes to the people we're speaking to, it needs to be, the words that we speak need to be a gift that we give. And here's the hard part. The closer the people are to us, the harder it is for us to make the words that we give a gift that we give. Why? Because, well, but I see them all the time. Right, you see them all the time, but you don't know that you will see them another time. Right? And if this is the last time I have an opportunity to have a conversation with you, I want it to be a conversation that added value to your life. Because the clock's ticking. You know. Anyway, the clock's ticking. And so she said, happy are these thy men, happy are these thy servants that stand before thee and hear you. Like, they're happy because they get to hear the wisdom that comes out of your mouth. And it makes their lives better. The words that you say make other people's lives better. Is that you? If it's not, maybe it's not you because you don't care for it to be you. You're like, it just doesn't matter that much what people, like how your words impact people. Maybe you're one of those people, right? Maybe it's because you don't know enough that your words can impact people, because you spend more time entertaining yourself than educating yourself. Like, that's a possibility. That could be one of the reasons. Maybe it's just because you never even thought about how your words affect other people before. You've only thought about how your words affect you. Whatever the reason, we can see clearly that the people who were in Solomon's presence, their lives were better because they were in his presence, period. Are people's lives enhanced when they come into your presence? Is that a good question? I think it's a very, very good question. So, and then it says, blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighted in thee. He delighted in you. Blessed be the Lord, which delighted in thee, to set thee on the throne of Israel. Watch what it says next. Because the Lord loved Israel forever, therefore made he thee king to do judgment and justice. Understand this. Okay, if you understand the concept of the kingdom of God, you say, where's this business model coming in? I've already started. Okay. So understand that the kingdom of God, I believe the kingdom of God is, I yield my life to God as the sovereign king of my life. This is what Solomon did in 1 Kings chapter 3, right? When I yield to God as the sovereign king of my life, he makes me the king over an assignment. Solomon's assignment was Israel, right? When he makes me king over an assignment, I should seek in that assignment to please him and serve the people he gave me to serve. God gave me a wife so I could serve her. He gave my wife a husband so she could serve him. He gave my wife and I children so we could serve them. He gave my children parents so they could serve us. See, if we go to life looking to serve, if we go through life looking to serve instead of looking to be served, we will be more happy, we will be more fulfilled if we will go through life looking to serve, right? So we yield our lives to God as the sovereign king of our life. He makes us the king over an assignment, or the queen over an assignment if you're a lady, and then we use the assignment we rule over to serve the people we come in contact with. That is the kingdom of God, I believe, in a nutshell. So God has made all of us a ruler over something because he made us to rule. Are y'all tracking? Okay. So the question then is, can people who look at you from the outside tell that God loved the people that you served so much that he gave you to rule over them and serve them? Is that like, wait a minute, God, like, if you are a pastor, can people tell that God loved the people in your church so much that he gave you to them to be their pastor? You're a parent. Can people who watch your relationship with your children or your child, can they tell that God loved your child so much they gave them you to be a parent? Can people who are looking at your marriage tell that God gave your spouse you because he loved your spouse? Are y'all tracking? Can people who, from the outside in, look at your business and tell that God loved your clients so much that he gave them you to be their vendor? I'm telling you, when you approach life from this perspective, the money is a byproduct, right? But the fulfillment, the objective is the service that we provide in the service of the king and other people. Okay, you tracking? So, then it says, blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighted in thee, set thee on the throne of Israel, because the Lord loved Israel forever, therefore made he thee king to do judgment and justice. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold. Now, I'm not gonna do the math, but I'll give you the math so you can go do it on your own. Right? So we don't measure money in talents of gold, right? So how much was a talent? Depending on what country it came from, it weighed somewhere between 68 and 74 pounds. So a talent, if we just average it and say, okay, 70 pounds. Okay, cool, 70 pounds. So you have 70 pounds of gold. That would be one talent, right? So you multiply 70 times 16, because there's 16 ounces in a pound, right? So 70 times 16, whatever that number is. And then if you multiply that times the current price of gold, which I think is, last time I looked, which was this morning, $1,708 per ounce, right? Now you know how much one talent of gold was worth. And then you take that and you multiply it times 120, you know how much she paid him in gold. Okay? Are y'all tracking? Okay. Now, I believe, because if you look at chapter 9, which I'm not going to look at, it tells us, I think it was Hiram, that also, he was a king who also paid Solomon 120 talents of gold. Right? It says, but it doesn't say 120 talents, it says 60 talents of gold. Well, 6, I don't even remember what it says now. I think it says 60 talents of gold. I don't remember. Anyway, she paid him 120 talents of gold. Now, that was how much she paid him. For what? For his advice. Now, if you do the math, it's about $240 to $250 million. 120 talents of gold. Talk about a premium value offer. Why did she pay him so much? She paid him so much because she wanted her kingdom to run as smoothly as his kingdom. Okay. So the first part of King Solomon's business model that we see in this passage, the Queen of Sheba came to Solomon and paid him to learn his wisdom, right? So the first part of his business model was he was a consultant to his contemporaries. I don't know how to spell it. Contemporaries. Okay. In case I missed it, y'all know what to do. Okay, so here's a consultant to his contemporaries, right? What does that mean? That means King Solomon was a king. Not only was he king, he was good at being a king. Not only was he good at being a king, he was the best in the history of kings to be a king. There wasn't one like him before him. There wouldn't arise one like him after him. And so what did he do? He consulted other people who were kings or queens. I love the fact that it tells us that a king came and paid him in chapter 9, and then in chapter 10, a queen came and paid him. So what was he? He was a consultant to his contemporaries. He was a mentor to the monarchs. That was what King Solomon's business was. What does that mean? That means your best place to start if you want to be a consultant, consult people on something you're good at. Like, find the thing that you're good at, or even better yet, the thing that you're one of the best in the world at doing, and then teach other people how to do it, but make them pay. That's what I decided to do. When I got started in this coaching business, the only business model I knew was multi-level marketing. I was good at multi-level marketing. I wasn't great at it. I'm keeping it real. I was not the best in the world. I was not one of the best in the world. I was good. I was better than most of the people in multi-level marketing. I was good enough to make about $7,000 or $8,000 a month. I wasn't making $70,000 or $80,000 a month. But guess what? The high-level network marketers were making way more than me. But I was coaching some of them too, actually. But because they wanted to know how I did things, right? But I was coaching the people on their team. Here's what I found out. People who are operating at a high level in an arena speak a different language than people who are operating at a lower level. Like when I came into multi-level marketing and people said, well, you got to identify your leaders. Identify my leaders. Yep, that's Jim, that's Sally, okay, I identify them. Now what, right? I didn't know what that meant, right? So like the language, there's a communication gap between people who are up here and people who are down here. And sometimes people who are up here, they remember what it felt like to be down there, but they don't remember what they were thinking when they were down there. I know. I don't remember everything I was thinking back when I was struggling to make, $8,000 a month, right? So what you want to do is you want to help the people who are behind you. That's all you got to do. Show the people behind you the way. Well, there were a whole lot of people in multi-level marketing, a couple million, right, who didn't know how to make $7,000 or $8,000 a month. So I was just sharing this with one of my clients this morning. I said what I did when I first got started, like selling stuff online. Like I started my training business in 2003. I didn't start selling stuff online until 2005. My first course, if you want to call it that, was 4 audio cassettes. Y'all remember audio cassettes? Those were those things that they used to use back in Abraham Lincoln's days, right? Okay, so 4 audio cassettes. 4 audio cassettes called Bigger, Better, Faster Network Marketing. That was the name of it, right? I sold it for $67. I introduced it on the internet in May of 2005 after spending a whole month trying to figure out how to build a website. I finally got it built. It took me 2 weeks just to figure out how to connect my ability to collect money on a credit card to the website and finally get it up. So June 1st, I launched the website. I built it all in May. launched it June 1st. I'm like, if we can just make $400 our first month, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. If we make $700, I'm going to be the king of internet marketing mountain. I'm going to be like one of the best ever. And I was hoping to make $400 to $700. That was my vision for selling stuff online. I was making more than that offline, so I wasn't doing it to make the money. I was doing it to learn the skill. And guess what? We sold $6,700 worth of that program my first month. What just happened? And I thought, well, that was a fluke. It was a fluke. It had to be a fluke, right? Because there was this guy named Jeff, and Jeff had a conference call every Tuesday night, and he invited me to come speak on his conference call and sell my program. And so 5,700 of that 6,700 came in 24 hours. And so I thought, yeah, that was a fluke. But what did I learn from that? I said, I need to start a conference call. So I started a conference call. I started doing a conference call every week. Well, guess what? The next month, I didn't make $6,700, but I made $5,100. You think I was mad? Extra $5,100? And I'm like, are you telling me? I can remember being confused by this. Now, you may not have been confused if this happened to you, but I was like, are you telling me that I've had this computer and I've been on the internet since the 90s, and all this money was in my computer and I wasn't getting any of it? Was like crazy, right? And so the next month I made $6,300. By December of that year, I had my first $10,000 month. I'm like, what is this thing, right? And so what I did, anyway, I taught the people who were behind me how to do what I was doing, right? It wasn't some big old, I didn't have some multi-$1,000 coaching program. I didn't have the kind of prices I have now because the people that I was serving were behind me and I was making some okay money. So I taught people who were making no money how to make okay money. Don't attempt to start at the top. Start where you are. Serve the people who are where you were and show them how to get to where you are. This stuff ain't hard. It's all figure outable. Okay, so that's the first part of his business model. Now, what happened next? What happens next is going to blow your mind. Well, maybe not. Your mind is probably not as easily blown as mine, so you'll probably be fine. You'll probably sleep fine tonight. Me, my mind was blown. Okay, so what it says. So I'm going to jump down. You can read all of this yourself. I'm not going to read all of it for the sake of time because I took more time on the introduction because I can't get y'all to listen faster. Just kidding. Okay. All right. So verse 23 of 1 Kings chapter 10 says, so Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. How cool is that? Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. Okay, now watch what happens next. So we first of all, he was what? He was a consultant to his contemporaries. That means if you're a stay-at-home mom and you figured out how to make money on eBay, maybe what you should do is teach stay-at-home moms how to make money on eBay. You tracking? It's just do your thing. Okay, so, and then it says, and all the earth sought to Solomon to hear the wisdom which God had put in his heart. Now, I don't know that this is what happened, but this is what I believe happened. I believe all the kings of the earth, when they went back to their kingdoms, they told their people, this is how we're going to be running things now. And by the way, we learned this from King Solomon, and y'all know how his kingdom's running. And by the way, it might not be a bad idea for y'all to go learn something from him. So all the kings of the earth, not only did they come to Solomon, but I believe they sent their people. But now, how's Solomon going to pull this thing off? Because he can't talk to everybody in the world, right? Imagine how long it would take me just to talk to all the people who are watching right now on YouTube, and all the people who are on Zoom, and all the people who are in this room, one-on-one. It would take me more than all day today. It'd take me more than all week this week. How many people are watching on YouTube right now? 725. So, it's going to take more than a week. It might take all this month for me to talk to everybody one-on-one. So what did we do? What happened? I believe the second part of Solomon's business model was this. And I already kind of gave it away. So he was a consultant to his contemporaries, but watch this. He was a communicator to crowds. King Solomon did public speaking. Now, I've been to Greece, I've been to Israel, I've been to the ancient city of Ephesus, that's still standing, that was built thousands of years ago, right? Here's what's mind-blowing. They built stuff that lasts. because this stuff was built thousands of years ago and it's still standing. I've been to Colosseums. I've been to one Colosseum that'll hold 35,000 people. Other ones, 13,000 here, 8,000 here. Like these ancient Colosseums, these ancient Colosseums, these ancient stadiums that were built. And you could stand down on the ground floor and talk, and everybody in the whole place, because the acoustics could hear you. How crazy is that? They figured that out. I believe Solomon had seminars. I can't prove that, but he can't talk to everybody one-on-one. So how are all the people on the earth seeking Solomon to hear his wisdom? I believe he held public forums where he would teach people, like we do today in conventions, like we do today in webinars, like we do today on Zooms and virtual events. He talked to people, he gathered them together and talked to all of them at the same time. He was a communicator to crowds. Guess what? He didn't teach those crowds for free, they had to pay. How do I know they had to pay? Because that's what it says is in the Bible. Okay, so Earth sought to Solomon to hear the wisdom which God had put in his heart. I love this fact. Just because God put the wisdom in his heart doesn't mean you need to give it away for free. We think that because God blessed us with it, well, I just need to give it away. Really? Say, Myron, well, that's what Solomon did. Well, you better keep reading, right? Because the next verse said, okay, I'm going to read it again, verse 24. And all the earth sought to Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put in his heart, and they brought every man his present, vessels of silver and vessels of gold, and garments and armor and spices and horses and mules, a rate year by year. They paid him. That's called a clue. I said, okay, well, if Solomon can consult with his contemporaries, now I'm no Solomon, but I can consult with mine. I can teach people who are like me. Like I got a couple of things I could be a consultant on. I can teach business because now I know business, right? I can teach people how to write books because I've written books. I've written 7 books, or I've written 5 books and been a co-author in 2 books, right? So I can teach people how to write books. I can teach people how to do seminars because I know how to do seminars. I can teach people how to run a business because I know how to run a business. I can teach people how to do challenges because I know how to do challenges. I can teach people how to do whiteboard webinars. I know how to do that. I can teach people how to be a dad. I mean, I've got kids and they don't hate me, right? So, right? And I'm being facetious when I say it. Like people are shocked. My son and my daughter are in their 30s, but they call me and say, "Hey, Dad, how you doing?" They just call me to talk, right? And people are like, "It's so amazing. Your grown children call you to talk." Yeah, just how you doing? Yeah, that's what we do. Like my brothers and I, we just call each other. Hey, man, I haven't talked to you in a couple of days. What's up? How you doing? Are you all right? I got 6 brothers. Now, my one brother, I talk to him probably about 5 or 6 times a year because he lives in Holland, but we talk at least, like every other month, we're going to talk at least once, right? So, and then I've got brothers who live here closely I talk to more often. Rob and Jeff. Rob lives here in Tampa. Jeff lives over in Melbourne. We talk every week. Mike is a pastor in Pennsylvania. We talk every week. So what am I saying? Mark also lives here in Florida. We talk every week. So what I'm saying, I can teach people how to be a family man. I'm a family man. I can teach people how to run a family business. We have a family business. There are so many things you do right now that you don't value because you do it. I call that the world's worst business disease, I'm just me-itis, inflammation of the I'm just me gland, right? If somebody else was doing what I'm doing, then it would be valuable. But since I'm doing it, can't be worth that much. I'm the one doing it, right? And most people don't value themselves. And clearly, I'm being a little facetious, but y'all know I ain't all wrong, right? Like there are things people told me to do, and I thought to myself, well, why would somebody pay me to do that? Can't everybody do that? No, they can't, right? And we see the last part of King Solomon's business model was this. He was the king of consulting to his contemporaries. He was the king of communicating to crowds. But lastly, he was the king of continuity cash flow. What does that mean? They didn't just pay him. Here's what it says. They paid him a rate year by year. So guess what that meant? They had to renew. Continuity. I love continuity. Why? Continuity stabilizes your finances. If you're a business, continuity stabilizes your business, right? You want to get to the place, if you have a business, you want to get to the place in your business where you are got enough money coming in continuity that it pays all of your payroll and all of your cost of doing business, then everything else is a plus. Now, if like we've got like in my business, we got coaching programs, and I'm not going to make an offer, but I'm going to say this: if you are a high-level entrepreneur and you're making 20, 50, 60, 80, $100,000 a month, or maybe even $200,000 a month, and you feel stuck, right? And I know some of y'all listen to me right now. What I said sounded so crazy to you, 20 to 200,000 a month, and you feel stuck. Nobody feels stuck at 20 to 200,000 a month. Yes, they do. They do. Trust me, right? If you feel stuck, like I have a coaching program that I like sell, and it's $155,000. So you know I'm not trying to sell it to you, because if I were, I would never tell you the price. So like up front, right? I'm not trying to sell it, but I'm letting you know, if you're a high-level entrepreneur, we have got a coaching program. It's $155,000, and it's for people who are high-level like entrepreneurs, but you want to take your business to the next level. You want to take your business revenue to the next level. You want to take your life to the next level. You want more money and more freedom. And there are some people who are going to think, well, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I get it. You're not the person I'm talking to right now, right? I'm talking to the people who know that's you, right? You should go. I'll make sure there's a link in this video. Go apply, see if you qualify. We only allow 100 people at a time in that coaching program, and right now we have, I don't know, 80 something, right? It'll fill up very shortly. We had other coaching programs too, but for like if you're a high-level entrepreneur who feels stuck, like we've got something for you, and it's called King Solomon's Wisdom Inner Circle, where I literally teach you all the components of these 3 moves, right? And we've got an event coming up in October where we're going to be probably giving away about 12 or 15 brand new, who've never earned them before, $1 Million Day awards. And we're probably going to give away 30, maybe even 40 100K Day awards to new clients who've never earned them before. So it's like the stuff we teach works, not because I'm a genius. I mean, I'm a genius. I am a genius. Don't get it twisted. But so are you, right? I'm no more genius than you. And you're no more genius than I. We're all geniuses. Like, we're all a genius at being ourselves, right? We are an expert in our own lives, as Alex Hormozy says, on our own lives, right? So hopefully, whether or not my high-level coaching programs for you, you can figure out, based on what I've shown you today, how you can become a consultant to your contemporaries. Like, teach the people who are coming behind you how to get to where you are from where you were, which is where they are now, right? You can become a communicator to crowds. You can start doing a webinar, right? I'm communicating to crowds right now on YouTube, right? Now, I'm not charging people for this, but some people find me on here and they say, hey, can I pay you to like teach me how to do this stuff up close and personal? Let me think about it. Okay, right? So there's that. And then continuity cash flow. Like to get to the place in your life and in your business where your monthly revenue that comes in every month before you get out of bed is a couple $100,000. Now business is a lot. There are so many passive, they're not passive. We call them passive revenue streams. I'll call it that for the sake of, I like Daniel Priestley's description of it better. They're deferred revenue streams, so we do the work now, but we get paid on it later for it. So it's not passive. Passive income it sounds good. It's a great marketing term, but it's not really passive. It's deferred, right? So we're doing the work. We're doing the work up front, but we're getting paid over and over and over again. So there are so many passive revenue streams that could change your life that it's kind of mind-blowing. So, and those are the things, like we teach in depth in our coaching program, these 3 things, plus our 4 moves. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're not even making $10,000 a month yet, or like we've got other coaching programs for people like you. So if you're an entrepreneur, you're making $5,000 a month, maybe what you want to do, and you want to get to $20,000 a month, maybe you should take our challenge, right? So we've got different programs for different people, and like I'm telling you to do this, right? If I'm telling you to do this and I'm not doing it, then I'm a fraud, right? And I'm not trying to talk you into buying it. Buy it or don't buy it. Like, I love you regardless. I'm not trying to make a sale. I'm just telling you what we have available for those who would like to work with us in case, you'd like to. We're gonna put links in the description for a bunch of our different programs and who they might help later today in this video. So just know that. Hopefully this has been beneficial to y'all. It certainly has been fun for me, And if you'll go apply it to your life will get better. Why? Because it is the word. And through this thing, you shall prolong your days in the land over Jordan, whether you go in to possess it. So God said, look, apply the word to your life, and your life will get better. And remember I said about the king, the kingdom of God? God makes us a king or a queen. Do you remember what we said, I think it was last week, the king or the queen's job was? It was just get a pen and a paper in one hand and the scripture in the other hand, and study the scriptures. The more time we spend studying the scriptures for the purpose of applying it to our existence, the better our lives are going to get. That's real talk, my people. In the meantime, in between time, peace out, Cub Scouts. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the video, comment on the video, share the video, and any other YouTube-y thing that you're supposed to do on YouTube, do all of them, okay? And I'll see y'all by the grace of God next Wednesday on Bible